Well, hey, everybody. It is Pastor Martin. Grateful to have you with me on tonight. Hey, Sister Adams, I see those of you that have tuned in, those that have joined. We're going to talk tonight. Let's have a good conversation. Pray that you will be share this with someone as we're doing this tonight. Hopefully, we get all the way through this. I'm using and testing the new camera at the same time that I'm talking to you tonight, and hopefully, uh, everything goes good. You know, when you're doing live, it's not if something will go wrong, it's just when. So, hopefully, you can hear me tonight, and hopefully, everything is coming across real good. I want to talk tonight. Let's just have a quick conversation on this Monday night. Of course, those of us that have been in front of our televisions and TVs and since last Monday, which was Memorial Day, and then the video came out of George Floyd that was murdered or killed with police officer with his knee on his neck and him saying, I can't breathe. So now the thing is, I can't breathe. And we've seen over the last 6 nights, 6 or 7 nights, demonstrations in cities starting in Minnesota and then coming all the way here to the ATL on Saturday. I think it was Friday or Saturday. We saw them just sort of taking stuff and I mean, targets and everywhere. They were just completely wrecking stuff and taking stuff out, doing stuff. And it was just quite interesting to see. Reminded me of the 1992 um, riots in Los Angeles when I was out in Los Angeles at that time when the riots broke out. It sort of reminded me of that, but a little more intense. And everything is going on, and you seen them taking stuff out and all that type of stuff. Very interesting to see at say the least. And you know, the right to protest in the midst of what we felt and feel is injustice and all that, and justice not being served, and all of those things. And so we've always had a thing to go out and demonstrate and protest, and so that has been something that has happened many times in America and across the world. You see people with demonstrations, but tonight I want to just sort of pose something to those of you that are watching now, those of you that will watch later, and that is in the midst of this. In protesting COVID-19, this pandemic, this virus, has it been forgotten in the midst of this demonstration? Because it has taken, of course, this demonstration and these protests have taken the stage. They've taken the center stage where the news on CNN and all the news channels, even Fox 5 here in Atlanta, they are being dominated by what's going on with the coverage of those that are staying past curfew, those that are doing things. All these things are happening, and it's really become a distraction from the thing that sort of brought us to where we are on lockdown, or where we're not able to go out, brought us to businesses shutting down, brought us to an economy that is dealing with these various things. So when we start thinking about this, I think we have to ask ourselves, in the midst of all of the protests, has COVID-19 been forgotten? Do or have we forgotten that we are still in the midst of a pandemic? And they're stating, as today is July 1st, they're stating that, I mean, June 1st, in the midst of all of that, they're saying that by June 1st, in the month of June alone, we could look to lose about 20,000 more lives to this virus. People will be dead, or they will die from the virus. And then that's not to say even those that have not been tested, those that don't know they're carrying the virus. And so they've asked all of us to wear masks and stuff. And in the midst of the protests, we are really still supposed to be exercising social distancing. So even in the midst of protests, not against protesting, but have we forgot that we're still in the midst of a pandemic? And those that are protesting that were without masks, those that are not practicing social distancing, whether it's our relatives or whoever they may be, if they contract the virus, if they get it and bring it back to our homes and bring it back to us, what are we going to do? They're looking for a spike. They said that it takes about a week to 2 weeks if you contract this virus. it takes about that long to know or to see symptoms or signs. So a person could go out, catch it, and bring it back and not even know that they have it. So then what are we to do? And so it seems like everyone in the midst of this has forgotten that we're still in the midst of a pandemic. And they're, close and gathering in close circles and things and rubbing shoulders and bumping shoulders. And the one thing they say about this particular virus is that it is a virus that, it at least they're outside, but if they're gathered together, and many of them, if they don't have masks and someone has it, if they're chanting, calling out, saying, let's breathe, or whatever they're saying, and it goes out in the atmosphere and someone gets it, that means that person, because they don't know they got it, they're going to take it back to their families, to their husband, their wife, their children, or whoever. And it seems that we have forgotten that we are still in the midst of a pandemic. I mean, I know the news is being dominated by burning, breaking in, busting in targets, coming out with TVs and burning champs down and all of those things. I got it. I understand your frustration. I understand your anger or whatever. Me being a man that's 59, that was born in 1960, that sort of came through the civil rights movement, that, and studied some of the things that happened even before I was born. I get it. I understand. But I don't want us to lose focus that we're still in the midst of a pandemic, that the coronavirus is still out there and the coronavirus is real. I had a chance to talk to some medical doctors on a Zoom call on last Thursday. We got a chance to ask some very important questions to separate fact from fiction, from the myth. And I want to tell you that some of the stuff they told me made me get a new look at this particular pandemic or coronavirus. And one of the things that all the doctors agreed on, and that was that this is a serious virus. It is aggressive. It is not to be played with. Even those that have come through the virus, even those that have come out of it, and you can't feel safe as though I've been through it, I survived it. It still may hit again, and it still may hit you again or me again. And so we have to be very careful. And sometimes, people want to know, well, where the pastors at and where these are. Some of us are using means of social media, our platforms, to talk to people that will listen, because we have to understand that we cannot forget that even in the midst of protests, there is still a greater. I know we're talking about the killing of George Floyd, but you got to remember, when the medical and the scientists start saying that this is such a virus, that in the month of June alone, they are looking for this virus to kill or to take out 20,000 people. I want you to get that in your mind. Really hear what they're saying. In the month of June alone, 20,000 people they're looking for this virus to take out. People are dying, but the TV has been dominated by the protests, and we are coming relaxed and getting back into a relaxed state and forget that this silent killer, the coronavirus, is still on the loose. It is not went anywhere. It is still here, and we have relaxed. We're not wearing masks. I went to the store the other day. Everyone's walking around with no mask, no gloves, no anything. It's just like, hey, it's okay. And not even understanding that, no, it's still here. And the bad part about it, when the virus first came out, we could look at they told us to look at the symptoms. And you could sort of tell them something was going on by the symptoms you may have had. But now they're saying to us there really are no really symptoms to go by. You can go by some, but there are no symptoms here. So if there are no symptoms to really go by, you don't know if you're carrying the thing. You could be carrying it back to your children, carrying it back to your house, carrying it back to your wife. You don't know. And we are so dominated by the fact that, I don't think it's, no, this is serious. Matter of fact, the medical doctor said that they were reading something that came out. They've been saying to us 6 feet. But they really were talking about they're thinking about that 6 feet may not be enough. Now they're saying it needs to be 12 feet. Well, I mean, when you think about that, okay, we're moving from 6 to 12. 6 is a great distance, but now they're talking about possibly 12 feet. So this is a virus that is serious. And I pray tonight, I wanted to come on and do this tonight because I pray tonight that we do not forget that in the midst of protesting, that we are still in the midst of a pandemic, that they do not have a vaccine, that this is something that's still going on. And we do not want to relax to the point that we start spiking again. Numbers start going back up, and we see, think about it. We're already at 100,000 people that have died. I want us, those of you that deal with math, I want you to think about 100,000 people. Think about that. That's just in the U.S. That number is great. Somebody said, well, that's not as great as all. It doesn't matter if the others is 3 million, 4 million, 100,000 people dead since March is a lot of folk in 3 months. I don't care what y'all say. That's a lot of people. In 3 months, 100,000 people, and they predicting that in just this 1 month of June that we just came into, that it is a possibility that there will be another 20,000 people dead. And I'm trying not to be one of those. And so in the midst, I'm like everyone else. I when I watch the video, what happened, some sort of came on me. I did. I mean, I think everyone that watched it, some sort of like, some sort of hit you. You're like, it hit you. It hit me, and I'm sure it hit you. But at the end of the day, there's still a pandemic. I mean, just think of it this way: if they told you, think about this happened with a lot of people when they have storms. It was Katrina and a couple other things. When they said there's a storm coming, get out of New Orleans, get out of wherever, get out. There were those that did not do it. There were those that stayed and said, I'm going to ride the storm out. And once the storm came and then the levee broke and those things broke in water, they were on top of the roof and stuff, probably saying to themselves, I wish I would have listened and just got on out and then came back and counted up the damage. If they tell you something's coming, we should be to the place at this point. I'd rather for them to tell me it's coming and it don't hit than for it to hit. And then I'll be wishing I would have done something different. This here is not something we got to just wonder. I know at first everybody was like, it ain't nothing. It's just a virus and get you some Lysol and spray this down and you're going to be all right. But we found out that this virus is real. So my question tonight, while y'all are here before I get out of here, is how do y'all feel? I mean, just talk to me. How do you feel with seeing people demonstrating, protesting? I'm not against that, but no practice of social distancing. Some got on masks, some don't have on masks. And there's a possibility that it'll spike again. What is your thought about that? Right. Brother Randall, conspiracy or not, people are dying. That's the truth. No matter how you shake it, they're putting people in body bags. I had a friend that sent me something. I wish I would have put it on here. He went to the post office and he took a picture at the post office. This is about maybe a month ago. And in the post office, there were boxes stacked where they had cremated bodies and they were getting ready to ship them. They were in boxes where they were cremated. They had cremated and they were stacked. And he took a picture because he couldn't believe it. He just said, these are bodies in here. They've cremated these people and they stacked these bodies and they getting ready to ship them. this virus is real. If you're going to protest, at least keep in mind that there's another killer out, and it's not a police, it's not a cop, it's not whatever you name them. There's another killer out, but this one is silent. This one is a silent one. And this one here is not one that you can, you can't hold a sign and chant this one away. You can't. This one is a real deal here. And this one is so real that it is a possibility that, matter of fact, a doctor called me Saturday, and they were asking me about some things, to do some things with them and for them. And then they made a statement that sort of gave me pause. It gave me where I just got real, real quiet. And they said to me, to be honest with you, when I look at these numbers, I don't see the numbers going down. I see the numbers going up. And so I got real quiet because I'm like, but they keep telling us they're going down. That's what we keep hearing out of Washington. That's what my governor keeps saying. He keep referring to, I forgot the lady's name, but he says, I trust our data and everything is good and we doing this. And so the doctor said the numbers are going up. And so I was like, okay, the numbers are going up. Then the next statement was the one that really gave me pause. Says, I don't know if we're going to really be able to go back into church before January or February of next year. They said, from what I'm seeing, it's a possibility that we really may need to be out to the end of the year or to the first of the year. Now, that's coming from a medical doctor. That's not coming from, that's not coming from somebody that's trying to get the economy open and somebody that's become a yes person that say, I'm just going to tell you what you want to hear so we can get the economy going. No, that's coming from somebody that's saying, it is a possibility that we could be on lockdown for a while. And with them opening other things up, because they don't know. One of the other things that the doctor said that they're hearing and thinking that this thing could even travel through the ventilation systems, through air conditions and stuff, because it's airborne. When it gets in, it goes. It's not just connecting to surfaces. It's something that could go out. And so if that's the truth, then who should we believe? That's the question. In the midst of what's going on, this is a pandemic. It's a coronavirus. We protesting and out in the street with signs bumping in each other, holding like we're holding the mass convention. Who should we believe? I mean, I want the economy. I said to my members on our prayer call tonight, I miss them. I would love to be in worship and love to be in service, but I guarantee you, we will not open our doors and put none of the members of RRC at risk. There's no dollar amount worth putting them at risk. It's just not worth it. And so I just wanted to give you something to really think about tonight. And let's have the conversation with our family and friends and have the conversation with people. I'm praying for those of you that are essential workers that's got to be out there. You got to go to work and stuff. I'm praying for you, but by all means, cover yourself. Do the stuff you got to do. Don't take a chance. And I pray that, somehow God would, help those that are doing the demonstration. If you're going to do it peacefully, that's fine. But let's just look at the whole picture and understand that let's not forget about the pandemic. Let's not let the pandemic and the coronavirus be swallowed up in protest. And then we turn around and we got a different situation where you got those that may be protesting. Now they're sick and the cause is lost. It's still the pandemic. It's still real. We still got to watch when we go out. I said the other day, Michael Jackson, if he was alive Today he would be like, they'd be like, man, Mike had it right. He was always wearing masks and had his children with masks on. Everybody was saying, oh, he's weird, he's odd, he's an oddball, he's this. Now all of us around there wearing masks, looking like Michael Jackson, because we found out this thing is real. And I've had a lot of friends and a lot of people that I know that have passed away. And then the one thing that I think the news media has got to take responsibility for, and I'm going to be done. I think the news media has to take responsibility. Sister Cherry, they got to take responsibility from when it first came out. They just said those of you that's got conditions and underlying conditions, and those of you that are 65 and up, you need to be careful. You're the most vulnerable. And I think that when they put that out, they made those that were in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s think and feel that it's just something that hits those that are 65 and older, or those that already got pre-existing conditions and stuff. But we're finding out that a 17-year-old died the other day. We're finding out that even a baby ended up catching this coronavirus, and small kids. And so that's something that needs to be retracted, and say to everybody, this virus does not discriminate. It don't care if you black, white, rich, poor. It don't care about your financial status. It don't care what position you hold in life. This is real. And this is why we've got to say something to people, because if we don't, and we don't have these discussions and talk about it, everyone's talking about, well, where the preachers at? Here I am, right here. I'm talking. I don't have to be downtown on the bullhorn. I'm talking to someone that will see this at least later and say he gave me something to think about. I never thought about that, because at the end of the day, there's a pandemic going on. There's a coronavirus killing folk. Slated and predicted to kill 20,000 people this month. That's big. 20,000 people. That's a lot of people. Even if it's just the United States, that's still a lot of people. 20,000 people is 20,000 people. Most of us ain't seen, unless you've been to big stadiums and stuff, most of us ain't seen 20,000 people in one place at one time. But now we're talking about 20,000. That means that's a lot of deaths. And so we got to do it. We just had this conversation Sunday with all our church members. Correct. We got to have this conversation. Somebody got to say something. I don't necessarily like wearing masks every time I go out, but I guarantee you I put it on because I am not trying to catch anything. I pray to God that I don't. But if I do, it's going to be something that just happened, because I'm doing everything I can to make sure I'm covered. Even I asked the doctor about one thing, and let me say this, and I'm going to really get out of here. I asked the doctor about the doctors when we had the Zoom call. I said, is this factual or is it myth that when you go out and come back in, the clothes that you're wearing, especially the tops or whatever, should you change them? And the doctor said, this is an aggressive virus. To be on the safe side, they said what you need to do is you need to, wash your clothes that you wore out. Just don't, because it could have attached to them, people talking and stuff, especially people that ain't got no mask on and stuff. You never know. So you change your clothes. Then, you have to turn around and wash your hands, of course. Whenever you come back in, always wash your hand. Make sure you're washing your hands and doing those things, because you don't want to be bringing some back into the house. Even one of the people that went to pick up the bodies from the mortuary, that picked up the bodies, he said this the other day. In his garage, he has put made something that when he comes in, he has a set of clothes already out there. When he comes in because he's picking up so many bodies, when he comes in, he got a newborn. He changes clothes. I think he just set up some type of shower thing or whatever. He showers, he changes clothes before he goes into his house, so he won't go in the house with those same clothes that he's been picking bodies up with that had the virus. Now, these are people that are on the front line. We're not talking about nobody sitting in no political office that just looking at data or looking at stuff. We better learn to listen to folk that's out there that know what they're talking about, that even nurses and doctors are catching this virus trying to help others. Don't let this, uh, by all means, let's protest, let's speak out against injustice and that happened with George Floyd and others. Let's do that. I'm with you on that. But for all means, I'm pleading with you. Do not let this pandemic and coronavirus get lost in the midst of a protest. We don't want to be burying others that we don't have to bury. All right. I thank y'all so much. Thank y'all for listening. I'm gonna get out of here. I pray that you would have a good week. I pray that you will be safe. Uh, you know, just like you do when you're driving in your car. When I drive my car, I just don't drive in the front. I look in the rearview mirrors. I look at everything because sometimes people coming up right on the back of you and almost about to hit you, then they switch over. And so I'm always driving on the defense and the offense. Be safe. If folk ain't looking out for you, you look out for you and make sure you all right. Thank y'all again for doing joining me. That's what the devil tries to do, is to get our focus off in this pandemic. You're right, Sister Adams. He wants to get us where we looking at stuff, and I'm like, we can't do that. We got to do better. All right. So be safe out there. Know that we love you. We're praying for you. Thank y'all so much for joining me. Do me a favor. Share this with somebody, because somebody, before you leave, hit share, and share again, because somebody needs to hear this to let them understand that we're in the midst of this pandemic, even in the midst of protesting. We can't be sidetracked and lose focus in what's going on. May God bless you, and may all God's best be yours.